Top 10 Amazing Prehistoric Creatures with Unexpected Adaptations. For a variety of reasons, creatures developed into all the bizarre and wild shapes that we are familiar with today. These included environmental changes, shifting food sources, and the emergence of new niches created by the extinction of rivals or predators. However, even those scientists who make their career by discovering bizarre old things admit that Mother Nature occasionally got day drunk and cooked up something genuinely weird. 10. The tooth-beaked dinosaur bird. In essence, birds are dinosaurs. However, the shift between the two occurred so slowly and piecemeal that it is quite difficult to sort through. The Ichthyornis dispar is a new species that was found during this headache-inducing stage of animal evolution. Because it straddles the line, and strangely, between dinosaur and bird, it is referred to as a stem bird, a missing link type species. When Kansas was an inland sea, it occupied the state 100 million years ago. I. dispar had not yet lost its dinosaurian teeth, despite having a large beak. Rather, it terrorized ancient marine life by combining the greatest aspects of both worlds. Its well-muscled dinosaurian jaw crushed its prey into a tasty paste after pinching fish from the water with its bird-like pincer beak. Its mental state is equally significant. I. dispar's massive beak was matched by an unexpectedly enormous brain. This contradicts theories that argue that as skulls and brains get bigger, jaw muscles should get smaller. It seems sense that the cunning and lethal I. dispar and similar species had a promising future. 9. The 1,000-kilogram, 200-pound guinea pig that stabbed enemies with its massive tusks. Prehistoric rats had a lot of muscle 3 million years ago. With a massive 1,000-kilogram, 2,200-pound bulk that could stand shoulder to shoulder with a bull, the Uruguayan Josefo Artigasia manesi was the strongest. The most noticeable characteristic of the rodents is their large front teeth, with 30-centimeter, 12-inch incisors that resembled tusks rather than rodent teeth. The maxed-out guinea pig J. manesi was a dental king among beasts. Scientists wanted to know how these teeth functioned, so simply seeing them wasn't enough. Researchers replicated J. manesi's bite using CT scans, virtual reconstructions, and computer simulations, and discovered that it could deliver a bite roughly as forceful as a tiger's, despite the fact that J. manesi's chompers could withstand forces 3 times greater. This is likely due to the fact that it did more than just bite. J. manesi most likely gore anything that irritated it with its tusk-like incisors. Like an elephant, the species also used its teeth to search around the ground and uncover concealed food. All in all, quite remarkable for the guinea pig's cousin. 8. The amazing pig-nosed turtle. Turtles have been on Earth for about 250 million years, making them some of the oldest animals on the world. However, nature has been rather conservative with prehistoric turtle design, despite differences in size. The exception? The silly, pig-nosed Arvanachelys goldeni was the result of a little evolutionary hiccup 76 million years ago. When North America was a large island called Laramidia, the turtle lived in Utah. During the Cretaceous, Utah itself had a drastically altered appearance. Its deserts were replaced by steamy, humid swamps that stretched into rivers, bayous, and floodplains where pig-snouted turtles could splash. An evolutionary mystery from Laramidia is deepened by A. goldeni. In the end, animals from the north and south looked too dissimilar. Given the lack of clear distinctions between the two populations, this demonstrated a surprising degree of differentiation. The pig turtle's presence did not solve this mystery at all. Because of its snub-nosed pug face, Acacracuta brevirostris is referred to as the short-faced hyena. But don't be fooled by the silly face. The most vicious hyena to have ever roamed the planet is P. brevirostris. It's a hyena as big as a lion, and a body little taller than the spotted hyena of today contains all that awful mass. The robust limbs, jaw, and dense, chunky bulk of P. brevirostris were designed for scavenging supremacy. It has great leverage to rip meat slabs from big, juicy carcasses, thanks to its low, stooping size. Then, before repeating the hit-and-run strategy, P. brevirostris dragged its prey away to dine in peace and safety. About 3 million years ago, P. brevirostris pushed its way onto the evolutionary scene in Asia and Africa. After 1 million years or so, it strolled into Europe. Regretfully, our predecessors' similar-minded journeys coincide with that. There is proof that hyenas and early humans lived in the same areas. Mangled Homo erectus remains from the Dragonbone Hill site in China indicate that this wasn't so good for us. 6. The dolphin that thought it was a swordfish. Every time the oceans warm or cool, a plethora of peculiar organisms emerge and vanish. One of the strangest of these creatures was a dolphin that used a sword-like nose, similar to a swordfish, to strike victims. The Neogene period, 20 million years ago, saw the arrival of Zarhakis flagellator, the longest-snouted mammal in history. The schnoz of this monster was 5 times longer than its head. More than 1 meter, 3 feet, in length, this Pinocchio nose of a snout rushed through the water while Z flagellator looked for prey. Z flagellator used its weaponized nose to club its prey, senseless after locking onto its unfortunate meal. After examining the snout's structure to determine the forces it might endure, scientists are aware of this. The physiology of Z flagellator was also compared to that of contemporary marlins and comparable prehistoric dolphins. However, during the start of the Pliocene epoch, the climate finally eradicated Z flagellator. By 2.5 million years ago, the long snouts became extinct due to a harsh glacial period that changed the animal's habitat and food source. Myotragus balearicus, a dwarf goat from the Balearic Islands that stands 46 centimeters, 18 inches tall, survived millions of years by using a tactic from the evolutionary playbook of reptiles: cold-bloodedness. Scientists were astounded to discover the tree-like growth rings inside its old goat bones. Warm-blooded animals do not have this skeletal peculiarity because they are constantly growing new bones. However, when resources permit, cold-blooded creatures grow their bones in spurts. On the desolate and fruitless island of Majorca, those resources didn't leave much leeway. As a result, the Balearic goat gained some reptile biology and shrank in size. It may now spend the entire day lounging in the sun without worrying about meals. However, M. balearicus's diminished size and metabolic rate had a disadvantage. It was unable to combat or even successfully flee from its predators. Fortunately for the goat, there were no predators on the small island. For 5.2 million years, twice the normal lifespan of mammal species, this little, helpless, and unathletic goat relished its Mediterranean paradise. After humans came 3,000 years ago, M. balearicus was eventually wiped off. There are many mysteries in dinosaur lore. How, for instance, did dinosaurs outlive their reptile rivals, the proto-crocodilian-like Rauisuchians? Rauisuchians, descended from a crocodile ancestor, held their legs straight beneath their bodies, in contrast to crocodiles, which have splayed limbs. Walking on 4 feet, as the Rauisuchians were evidently accustomed to, would have been easier and faster with the more upright position. Dinosaurs outlived their Triassic counterparts in part because of this quadrupedal propensity. Dinosaurs appear to have benefited from bipedalism, a quicker and more effective mode of transportation. However, research has shown that at least some Rauisuchians were able to walk on 2 feet. Papasaurus gracilis, a dinosaur imposter, is one example of this. With a mouthful of backward-curved teeth to shred its prey, the 225-million-year-old P. gracilis was about 4 meters, 13 feet long. It was able to walk and run erect, like its more durable dinosaurian rivals because of its long tapering tail, which compensated for its laughably short arms. P. gracilis has revived the puzzle of dinosaur domination. The ferociously vegetarian cave bear with a weight of up to 500 kilograms, 1,100 pounds, the European cave bear, named for its love of caves, was comparable to the biggest bears currently in existence. However, the ancient kind was exclusively herbivorous, in contrast to the omnivorous, picnic basket-snatching bears of today. Between 300,000 and 25,000 years ago, these bears roamed Europe and Asia before going extinct at the last glacial maximum. Ursus spelaeus found enough flora to sustain its massive 3.5-meter-long, 11.5-foot frame on salad despite living in a dry and chilly climate. How do scientists find out? They examined the bones of 6 bears found at 3 Romanian cave sites, some of which date back almost 50,000 years. The fossilized collagen found in the skeletal remains was examined closely by scientists, who then contrasted it with bone collagen from herbivores, carnivores, and cave bears from different regions of Europe. researchers determined that U. spelaeus was a strict vegetarian based on the ratio of various forms of nitrogen in the amino acids within the collagen. During the Devonian period, 380 million years ago, one of the biggest marine creatures was the armored fish Plecoderm, Titanichthys. Titanichthys had a jaw that was 1 meter, 3 feet long, and reached a length of more than 5 meters, 16 feet. However, that jaw lacked a cutting edge and was startlingly weak and toothless. What was the purpose of its jaw if it wasn't intended for fighting or tearing bloody chunks off its prey? As it happens, this intimidating fish wasn't all that scary. Rather, like a basking shark, it subsisted as a suspension feeder. Titanichthys used continuous ram feeding, a slow yet effective feeding technique, despite its seeming fury. With its mouth wide open, it simply drifted around, gathering the microscopic creatures that lived in a former sea that is now the Moroccan Sahara Desert. The first known species to bask is the trend-setting Titanichthys, which predates more well-known basking creatures like baleen whales by an astounding 350 million years. Sometimes fossils remain in museums for years before being adequately described. Anchovies weren't always the tiny chumps they are today, according to 2 fossils that were kept on a shelf for 20 years. The ancient Monosmilus shuraloides was about 1 meter, 3 feet long, and consumed other fish. But contemporary anchovies are about 15 centimeters, 6 inches long, and consume plankton. Additionally, it had a saber tooth, that is, a single saber tooth that protruded from its top jaw to balance out a row of pointed fangs on its lower jaw. Yes, the predatory anchovy M. shuraloides impaled its victims. M. shuraloides, which is 45 million years old, originated during the Paleogene, a time when a startling number of fish became vicious killers. When the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago took off larger sea terrors, a place for fierce fishes became available. The ancient anchovy from the Eocene epoch developed into a beast to fill that niche and feast on smaller fish, just like its siblings.